It is Thursday, May 8th, and we welcome you back to the Frozen Edge here alongside Timo Seppa, former senior manager of hockey analytics at the NHL. I'm Casey Ditzel, and Timo, how's it going? Not a great night or start to the series, for that matter, in round two for the home teams.
Yeah, that's right. Good to be here, Casey. I'm excited to get into it. Let's go.
Well, let's start with the night recap last night in Toronto and Florida. All our eyes were on the Panthers and a little bit of a comeback, but the Leafs absolutely stifled that. Florida led first. They led again at 2-1. But after that, the Leafs kind of took over, both teams with power play goals to start the first period, something we talked about yesterday being a big factor in this series. But it was Mitch Marner's answer to the Panthers tying the game early in the third period that ended up being the game winner. The Marner goal comes just 24 seconds after the Panthers made it 3-3. Seemed like the Panthers had the momentum going, but again, just 24 seconds later, with about 14 minutes remaining, Marner with the game-winning goal. So now the series will go back to Florida here. Do we still have faith in the Panthers? We thought Panthers in 6 based on the analytics yesterday. There still could be a chance at that, but man, has Toronto really silenced the haters so far early in round two.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to this. Boy, is it an intriguing series, and the goals were great last night. I was just like I was all over the Barkov goal. I thought that was a face-off win and an awesome shot through the Tanev screen. Not a great job by Tanev there. And you're mentioning the Mitch Marner game winner. I mean, that was a quick release rip, about as hard of a wrist shot as you can get. Just like if you're Florida in that case, you just kind of shake your head and just say like, "Wow, that was a good shot." But they had a chance to come back. They didn't. We thought a bunch of the analytics were pointing towards Florida. Didn't turn out that way. I didn't mention the other day. I think the one thing that Toronto analytically has strongly in its favor is that they're a really strong face-off team. So, like if you get late in the game and Florida's trailing, especially you got an empty net situation or whatever extra attacker situation, Toronto certainly has face-offs in its favor as far as trying to gain possession and get out of the zone in those situations. But what are you thinking here, Casey? If somebody out there still has faith in Florida, and guys like Austin Matthews haven't really gotten going. So, like, if you still have faith in Florida after these close games, what are we seeing as far as odds for if somebody actually had some belief in Florida either winning the next 4 games or 4 out of the next 5 games? What do we got for odds in those cases?
Well, my mind goes back to that Edmonton LA series where LA was in full command. All of a sudden, in the flip of a switch, it's Edmonton series in 6. The odds pretty good in favor of Florida if you really believe in the Panthers, plus 520 for the Cats in 6. But I would say more likely this is a 7-game set for Florida. They really got to get going. So if that's something you believe in, probably backing them the next 2 games at home, plus 320 for them to win in 7 games. It's plus 172 for the Panthers to win the series. So I think the better odds would be either betting them to win in 7 or betting them to win in 6. I think this one will go 7, but it's going to come down to whether or not those stars on the Leafs can stay hot, Timo. We'll talk a little bit more about that tomorrow. Pacioretty and Matthews have been outstanding. Let's switch to the late game Winnipeg and Dallas, and Mikko Rantanen has become a man possessed here. Back-to-back hat tricks, a second period natural hat trick to finish off game 1 here. He now has 4 straight 3-point efforts. The natural hat trick in the second period single-handedly drags the Stars out of a 1-0 deficit. Now 14 points in the past 4 games. And goaltending was our big emphasis yesterday. Jake Ottinger closes the door, a scramble in the crease late in that game nearing the final minute, and Dallas hangs on to win 3-2.
Yeah, I mean, we were focusing on goaltending, and I certainly said this series more or less comes down to, do you get the good or the bad, the good or the evil Hellebuck for this series, and probably inconclusive in his first game. I mean, he's to me Hellebuck, as I said yesterday, I mean, he should be the Vezina Trophy winner. 925 regular season save percentage. That's against Jake Ottinger, who just had a 909 save percentage. I know nowadays 909 isn't anything to, it is an above average save percentage, but people act like he's one of the couple of best goalies in the league, and the regular season and maybe might not point to that, but obviously he has quality. Anyway, in the game last night, Ottinger 2 goals against, the 935 save percentage for the game. Hellebuck 3 goals against, an 875 save percentage against the game. Certainly 875 isn't where you want your goalie to be, but he's had a bunch of games that have been much worse than that in the playoffs. So what did you see last night, Casey? Do you think we're getting the good or the bad Connor Hellebuck? And what did you see in his game last night, and which direction do you think it's going to go for the rest of the series?
So here's the problem with the cliche for the Jets is you're never out of the series until the road team wins. And that was exactly it in round one. The road team never won a game. And here it's Dallas immediately bouncing back. And I think it goes maybe rather than the focus on Hellebuck, I thought he was good enough there. He didn't let them out of that game. Rantanen stacked 3 up quick. I wouldn't necessarily blame Hellebuck on those goals, but I think Morrissey being out of the lineup is really the big problem. They get Scheifele back. He scores a goal. Unfortunately, the defense just couldn't quite stack up to the star power, and they don't even have Robertson back at full strength. We expect Heiskanen to come back. I think the Stars are just going to get better and better. So I think it right now, after that game 1 win, Dallas in full control there in the Winnipeg Dallas series. Let's move on again. Now look towards our slate tonight here and throw out some of our favorite picks. Washington and Carolina will be the early game. It is a 1-0 series lead after Carolina, one of 5 road teams that have picked up wins over the past couple of days to start round 2. It is Carolina heavily favored in the series line, minus 420 to win the series, minus 215 on the spread at minus 1.5 games. So probably not where you're going to find any value betting on Carolina to come back. If you think Washington can figure it out, ramp up that physicality, plus 320 for Washington to win the series, for Washington to win in 6, which was something many analysts going into this series were heavily favored. Plus 640, and maybe even better than that, Washington at plus 1.5 on the spread, thinking that this could be a series that goes the distance. That gives you the opportunity for Carolina to win the series, plus 164. Timo, game 2 here tonight. Washington again, a underdog on home ice, plus 114. Plus 1.5 on the spread is minus 220 for Carolina. The spread at minus 1.5 plus 176 odds. They are minus 137. But again, our eyes switch to Washington here, a dominant team on home ice throughout the season. Not only that, but even better following losses this year.
I mean, I think it's Washington. I don't know if they're going to win the series, but I think they're very live here to pick up this next game. I would say that one thing about playing style, and I would wonder about your thoughts on this too, is we've focused so much on Carolina. The game 1 story was on volume shooting, and we talked about that yesterday, possession and so on. Contrasting the styles. A stat that I got from my former colleague Mike at NHL Stats. Washington at even strength, now that we've got puck and player tracking stats, NHL Stats, Washington shows up as having the least even strength miles skated per 60 minutes. Now, if you think about miles skated per 60, that's also the same as saying that Washington is the slowest team. They play at the slowest pace at even strength. So they made it work during the regular season. But is that a bad contrast playing against Carolina's style, or is it just a description of, hey, Washington plays slow, but they're effective anyway?
I think going into the series or even going into the postseason, when you're thinking about teams with the easiest route, Carolina matched up pretty well. And especially if the Leafs can pull out their win, Carolina meets them in the conference final. That's kind of the dream situation for the Carolina Hurricanes. They got a beat up Devils team. And as you mentioned, the matchup against Washington kind of plays in their favor with Carolina being one of the hardest forechecking teams. They play that run and gun style. So Washington has to find a way to keep up. For them, I think it's the physicality. We saw them just bully the Canadians out of the playoffs this year. In the games they've been successful in the regular season, it was a bullying style of play. So with that being said, we expected this to be a series close to going the distance. Do you see Washington bouncing back tonight?
Yeah, one of the stats we have, which I think is really telling, is Washington was really good in the regular season following a loss. So following a loss in the regular season, and you can't count the last game of the regular season because there wasn't a game after the last game of the regular season. Washington was 22-8 following a loss. So like if you look at their season slate, you see an L right after. You almost always saw a W. So I think it's if you believe in that being something real, and I do, certainly might be a good chance for you to get on Washington for this game too.
On the opposite side, favoring Carolina, it's hard to think that they could get much better, but through two periods of game one, out attempting Washington 71-28 in the shot count. Not only that, but Carolina hitting the post 5 times before Jankowski finally got them on the board where they trailed 1-0. The possession was over double in their favor for time in the offensive zone. Shot leaders for Carolina, and maybe something to think about if you're looking towards a player prop. Aho had 4, Svechnikov, Jarvis, Taylor Hall, and Dmitry Orlov with 3. Only one player on Washington had 3 shots on goal. That was Ryan Leonard, still looking for his first goal scored on a goaltender outside of the empty netter, where Ovi tied the record there as he had just jumped into the NHL scene. But he's been impactful as we look at Carolina there, the dominance they showed in game one, but just squeaking out that 2-1 overtime win. Uh, do you expect the same kind of dominant style going into tonight? Or do you think the Capitals might be able to keep the shots on the outside, let Thompson get comfortable, and maybe slow him down a little bit? That might have been the best Carolina that we can see.
Yeah, broadly speaking, I'm going to expect Carolina to be out shooting and out attempting Washington again. But I think that in any of these series, these are good teams, professional players, good coaching staffs. You would expect all of the teams to be making adjustments here. So, it's not much of an answer here, but yeah, I believe that Carolina is going to continue playing more or less how they are, but I think that Washington is going to make some subtle adjustments.
Carolina with 33 shots on goal in that first game. Andrei Svechnikov leading the Hurricanes. He has 5 goals in the playoffs so far. Dylan Strome with 7 assists, and he's leading the team in points for the postseason. So some picks that we have our eyes on. I think it's going to be an under again, going back to what we talked about before the last game. Both Thompson and Anderson, when healthy, number 1 and 2 in mid-range save percentage. Dylan Strome was held off the score sheet. Maybe expect him to bounce back if you're following Washington. And Thompson with the over-under set at 27 saves. If you want to, pump that one a little bit, lower the odds, but maybe put it in a parlay. I love the odds on 25 plus saves for Thompson at minus 175.
Hey,
Moving on to the
Casey,
late. Yeah, go ahead.
Casey, do you have odds for Tom Wilson stealing Sebastian Aho's mouth
How
guard again?
awesome was that there, Timo? That might have been. I was laughing so hard, and the Twitter replays were unbelievable. That's a guy though. All jokes aside, Washington needs him to have a physical presence. So maybe as well, if the books carry the hits, only a couple of them do. But if you have the opportunity, the Wilson over on hits certainly could be one to watch
Yeah.
as well. Edmonton and Vegas tonight. The series with Edmonton leading 1-0, Vegas at plus 180 to win the series, minus 106. So just about even odds at plus 1.5 if you think this one could go the distance. Minus 1.5 on the series spread for Vegas, plus 400 for Edmonton. Now heavy favorites in what was a pretty much dead pick 'em going into it. Minus 220 to win the series, minus 120 on the series spread on the minus 1.5. Timo, tonight, game two, Vegas at home, minus 137. It is the Oilers on the road, the underdogs at plus 114. And the road teams have been dominant so far.
Yeah, I mean, I think game one, whether you're home or road, Edmonton played a great road game, and they are looking starting to look pretty dominant. Starting to look like a team of destiny. I don't know if dominant is the right word. They're just like there's so many comeback wins that you start wondering. Is this a team that's going to go pretty far? Is it a team of destiny?
The first team in NHL history with 5 straight comeback victories. After going up 2-0 in that first game, they let 2-1 into the third period. Vegas kind of got caught sitting back trying to protect that lead. So obviously something that we've seen over and over again that you cannot do against this Oilers team, but it's almost a question of how is it possible to beat this hungry veteran offense on the Oilers side, led by McDavid and Draisaitl, who both took over that game there in the comeback win for Edmonton. On the same side of that, has Edmonton's offense shown you enough that you don't necessarily have to worry about the defensive questions with Ekholm out, maybe the goaltender struggles that were really the cloud looming around Edmonton as they've continued to silence that?
Yeah, let me answer what you're asking about Vegas first. Is that how does Vegas combat a team that's got McDavid and Draisaitl? Edmonton's got a lot of other guys that can score as well. Hyman and others. Um, I saw a bunch of issues with Vegas just defensively. Just on that one goal, just kind of a brutal play by both Nate Schmidt and Kulikov. Um, I think there's a lot of defensive questions. Vegas is sloppy on line changes too that help give up 3-on-2s and 4-on-3s where they shouldn't happen. So I think there's a lot of defensive detail, a lot of coaching detail that Vegas needs to get locked down before this game, and not just necessarily against the first line, but just in general, and just to have like more of a messing up in those ways, to me tells you that the team just isn't locked in and doesn't have like a killer mindset right now. So I don't know if Vegas can turn that on, but I think they need to.
Edmonton odds to win the series, plus 550 to sweep in 4 games, plus 400 to win in 6, plus 500 to win in 7. Are any of those speaking to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly if you're somebody out there who is seeing this and feels like Edmonton is a team of destiny, and feels like Vegas isn't a really sharp version of Vegas, there's a good chance to go with Edmonton in 4 or 5 or 6. Just kind of really pick which one you think is the best one there. Actually, it's looking at that, right? You get your best odds at Edmonton in 4 or Edmonton in 7, right? So either Edmonton going through and winning 3 in a row, or Vegas making it a good series. So I think there's a good chance there to kind of pick how you think you see the series going and getting some good value in any one of those. Edmonton in 4, I don't think it's out of the question. Um, yeah, I wanted to throw in a stat there too, akin to what we gave you on Washington before, just how Vegas has done in coming back from a loss in the regular season. Not at all as good as Washington. Vegas was only 18-14 following a loss. So if you're looking at Edmonton maybe getting a second game in a row, Vegas had a ton of 2-game losing streaks. They had a ton of 4-game losing streaks in the regular season. So that might point towards an Edmonton win in game 2.
Edmonton has allowed the first goal in 6 of their 7 postseason games so far, 5 straight comeback wins. All of their road appearances, they've allowed the first goal against. In that, there's been a goal in the opening 10 minutes in 6 of the 7 games. 4 of the 7 games Edmonton's played in have included a goal that's been scored in the opening 5 minutes. During 4 of the regular season matchups against Vegas, the first goal was scored by Vegas in 3 of the 4 games. 1 of the 4 games included a goal in the first 5 minutes. As we look at the odds there, goal in the first 5 is plus 150. Goal in the first 10, which I think more likely, minus 176 there. Connor McDavid has not scored in the last 4 games of the postseason, didn't pick up a game 1 goal, has not scored since game 2 against LA. There was just 2 times outside of the 5-game drought he finished the season with, and remember that was returning from injury. Only 2 other times this season did McDavid go 5 games without a goal. Might be something to think about. An anytime goal plus 160 out of Connor McDavid tonight. And during the regular season, all the games at home for Vegas were unders. And not only that, but under 5 goals, the over-under set at 6.5. Probably teams trying to tighten up a little bit defensively, and especially on the Vegas side. So for me, it's favoring the under 6.5, which is minus 108, just about dead odds. Timo, any of those that you like?
I think you certainly make a good argument there for picking the under. I would just say on McDavid, and again, this doesn't mean that you should go one way or the other on this. Just a reminder for what we mentioned when we were teeing up this series, that McDavid in the season series against Vegas, 0 goals, 1 assist in 3 games. So that might be pointing against going with a McDavid goal, but hey, we're talking about Connor McDavid, and he's going to turn it on at some point. So just those small sample stats wouldn't necessarily prohibit you from going against McDavid goal here.
Shot leaders for game 1. Vegas had 2 with 3 shots. It was Olofsson and Theodore. Both of those could be sneaky picks if you're looking at the anytime goals. Those would be well down the charts. For Edmonton, Victor Arvidsson led the way, 5 shots on goal for him. McDavid second with 4. Adam Henrique and Connor Brown each had 3. So for the picks today, I'm going with the under. Vegas to score the first goal, a goal in the first 10 minutes, and a Connor McDavid goal. Also leaning towards the Edmonton money line at that plus 114 number. Timo, that's it for tonight, but congratulations that we have to give out as we close up the episode here. The Utah Mammoth, not going with Hockey Club. I was hoping they were going to stick with it, but it is the Mammoth that will go forward in Utah.
Yeah, it was one of the names that I like. I like that one from among some of the names that were thrown out there. I wouldn't have minded Utah Hockey Club sticking around either. My favorite was the Utah Yeti, but I guess they had some conflicts there why they couldn't have gone with that. Kind of bizarrely on a personal note, I was following the Coyotes closely in their last season of existence. I know that the Coyotes aren't supposed to be the same team as the expansion Utah Hockey Club, Utah Mammoth, but maybe they are kind of the same team. I was heading to the final game of the Arizona Coyotes on a plane leaving from New York, going to Phoenix. When I landed in Phoenix, I had the guy at the rental counter tell me that he'd heard that the Utah Yeti was the name. This was already when the Arizona Coyotes were playing their last game. I was like, did I get a scoop here from the guy at the rental counter? Um, and I don't know. It almost came true because it sounds like that was the name that they were trying to go with first. So I don't know. Kind of a bizarre anecdote.
Well, they snuck in a couple of those original Yeti drawings to that mammoth logo. The top of the head is pretty similar to a few of the leaked logos that unfortunately won't go forward, but Utah Mammoth it is, and kind of fitting right now as the scientists are trying to bring back the woolly mammoth. We'll see. Maybe they can get a real life mascot around the arena in Utah, but that does it for our May 8th episode here on Thursday. We'll be back again tomorrow. Make sure to check out our YouTube and Spotify, like and subscribe so that you can get picks at your fingertips immediately as our shows drop here daily throughout the remainder of the Stanley Cup playoffs. He's Timo Seppa. I'm Casey Ditzel. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a good one, everybody.